Chapter 11, the 9th level of Foundation Establishment Realm, an opportunity from the Tree Spirit. After leaving the Jade Serene Peak, Hanju was about to return to his cave abode when Liu Sangson approached him and placed a hand on his shoulder. Liu Sangson smiled and said, "Junior, I appreciate your good intentions. If you encounter any trouble in the future, feel free to ask me for help." Hanju blinked and said, "I wish you success, Senior." How could he deny a favor that came knocking on his door? Haha! Liu Sangson laughed and left. Hanju had only taken a few steps when Chang Yuer caught up to him. "Junior, you haven't done any sec missions yet, right? Do you want me to guide you through one?" Chang Yuer asked with a smile. "No thanks, I want to cultivate." Cultivating in the cave abode is very slow. You can earn spirit stones by completing missions, and then go to various spiritual pools to cultivate. It's much more efficient. At the same time, you'll also get contribution points by completing missions. If your contribution points are high, you can buy pills. Never mind, I'm afraid of death. How can we cultivators be afraid of death? If you're not afraid of death, why are you cultivating? You. Chang Yuer was vexed with him. Why is this junior so cowardly? Hanju didn't go because he had a lot of spirit stones. Himph, so be it. Chang Yuer turned around and left. Hanju fell into deep thought. Indeed, he couldn't cultivate in the cave abode. He had to go to the spiritual pools. It would be too risky to go after 100 years when he was closer to death. Thinking that, Hanju immediately headed towards the inner Sec City. 10 years passed in a flash. Hanju had been wandering around the various spiritual pools. He had spent nearly 400 superior great spirit stones. His cultivation level had reached the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm, and all 6 types of cultivation potentials had reached the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. At this rate, even if he spent the remaining 400 or so superior grade spirit stones, he still wouldn't be able to reach the Golden Core Realm. Hanju began to concentrate on cultivating the Thunder spiritual energy and Fire spiritual energy. He couldn't spend all the spirit stones. There would definitely be expenses later on. Another 10 years. He might as well finish cultivating his Thunder cultivation potential at the spiritual pool, and then cultivate his Fire spiritual energy in the cave abode. That's it. After making up his mind, Hanju headed straight to the Thunder spiritual pool. No cultivator could be seen in the Thunder spiritual pool, but Hanju wasn't afraid of loneliness. "Rat, you're here again. I thought you were a genius before. Why are you still only at the 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment Realm after so many years?" The tree spirit couldn't help but tease. Hanju shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's precisely because I have no talent, that's why I cultivate so diligently." True. After saying that, the tree demon closed his eyes. Hanju was a regular visitor, so he didn't need to remind him. Soon, Hanju entered his cultivation state. Time quickly passed. Year after year passed. 5 years later, Hanju's Thunder cultivation potential had already reached the 7th stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Mo Fuchao had returned with a female disciple. This female disciple was extremely beautiful, and her mannerisms also had the bearing of a noble lady. "Brother Han, you're also here," Mo Fuchao said with surprise. Hanju opened his eyes. He smiled and replied, "Brother Mo, you're here too." Mo Fuchao was an absolute genius. Through his interpersonal relationships, Hanju noticed that he had already reached the 9th level of Foundation Establishment. Although nearly 20 years had passed, to be able to break through 2 levels in the Foundation Establishment Realm and head towards the Golden Core Realm, what else could one be but a genius? Let me introduce you. This is my junior at Heavenly Thunder Peak. She's also my younger sister from my clan, Mo Zhu, Mo Fuchao said with a smile. Hanju cupped his hands and said, "I'm Hanju from Jade Serene Peak." Mo Zhu nodded and carefully sized him up. She asked, "Why are you still at the 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment Realm? My elder brother said that you might already be at the 6th level." Hanju smiled and said, "I want to do it steadily. Hey, let's quickly start our cultivation." With that, he sat down. Although Mo Fuchao was curious about his cultivation level, he didn't ask further. The two of them quickly began to meditate. Not long after, they were surprised to discover that Hanju's absorption speed far exceeded theirs. What kind of cultivation technique is he cultivating? No, it's his cultivation potential. Mo Fuchao was shocked. Mo Zhu also looked at Hanju in surprise. Hanju wasn't bothered by their reaction, he had to hurry. Every minute was spirit stones. 3 years later, Mo Fuchao and Mo Zhu prepared to leave. Mo Fuchao looked at Hanju. He wanted to say something, but seeing how focused Hanju was, he didn't want to disturb him. The two left the Thunder spiritual pool. Brother, why didn't Hanju's cultivation level increase? Mo Zhu asked curiously. Given the speed at which Hanju absorbs spiritual ki, he should have broken through long ago. Mo Fuchao had a complicated look in his eyes as he said, "This person definitely has a method to suppress his cultivation level. I'm afraid his cultivation level has already caught up to mine. 9th stage foundation establishment realm." Mo Zhu widened her beautiful eyes and said, "You said that 20 years ago, he was only at the 9th level of the key refinement realm. So fast." Mo Fuchao took a deep breath and said, "Jade's serene peak is packed with ascetics. I didn't expect such a genius to appear. Let's go, we have to work as hard as him." Mo Zhu nodded. At the same time, Hanju saw 2 lines of words. Mo Fuchao's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 2 stars. Mo Zhu's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 2 stars. Hanju was indifferent. He had already reached the 9th level of Foundation Establishment Realm and was currently attempting to break through. Half a year later, Hanju finally cultivated his lightning spiritual energy to perfection. Even if he wanted to cultivate it again, it would be impossible. He stood up and prepared to leave. "Boy, it appears that you possess a method to suppress your cultivation. You're truly remarkable," the tree spirit said with a laugh. His tone was no longer laced with mockery. Hanju shrugged and smiled. He walked to the teleportation formation and was about to leave. "I have an opportunity here. Do you want to take it?" asked the tree spirit. Hanju raised his eyebrows. "No." The tree spirit was stunned. "You can get large amounts of spirit stones, set contribution points, and even equipment and treasures. Are you sure you don't want to try? Is it dangerous? If you want a good opportunity, you naturally have to take the risk." "Then forget it. I don't want to die." "You." The tree spirit trembled in exasperation and disbelief. Hanju urged, "Please let me out. I still have to return to my cave abode to enter seclusion." The tree spirit snorted and activated the formation, sending him out. Hanju received the refund of a year and a half worth of spirit stones in the pavilion. He still had nearly 300 spirit stones in his storage bag. He didn't return to his cave abode immediately but headed for the salary building. After all these years, he hadn't received his salary. He should take it. The J Pure sect would give out salary once a year. They could leave it there and collect it in one go. The salary building was one of the most bustling pavilions in the J Pure sect. There were many disciples, and they had to line up to receive their pay. Hanju's temperament attracted the attention of many female cultivators. The male cultivators also quickly noticed him. As Hanju's cultivation level continued to increase, his unparalleled charisma was also fully displayed. The system could hide his cultivation, but not his charm. "Who's this person? He's so handsome. I never knew we had a man like this in the Jade Pure sect. I've seen him before. He seems to be a disciple of Jade's Serene Peak. Task, he looks like he's walked out from a painting." The disciples of Jade's Serene Peak all have good looks. Do any of you know his name? Hanju pretended not to notice the discussions around him. After receiving his salary, he quickly fled, causing the female cultivators who wanted to strike up a conversation to feel endless regret. Just as he walked out of the building, Hanju bumped into Mo Zhu. "Brother Han, you're here. How fateful," Mo Zhu said in surprise. She quickly went up and held his arm. Hanju's face froze. Chapter 12, 7 Illusionary Steps, 10,000 Demon Realm. The female cultivators who walked out of the salary building frowned when they saw Mo Zhu holding Han Ju's arm. They all wailed in their hearts. Han Ju quickly pulled his back and kept a distance from her. Mo Zhu smiled warmly. "Brother Han, I have something that I need your help with. The side storyline is here. Reject?" Han Ju shook his head and said, "Sorry, I still have to go back and cultivate." Cultivate. This is a huge opportunity you don't want to miss. Have you heard of? Mo Zhu hurriedly said. She suddenly noticed the female cultivators behind Han Ju and felt that it wasn't convenient to talk here, so she started dragging him away. "Miss Mo, don't pull me. I'm not even afraid as a woman. As a man, how can you be afraid? Master forbids us from having romantic feelings. Paft, we've only met twice. Do you think I'll fall in love with you?" Mo Zhu's face instantly turned red. She secretly glanced at him. Brother Han was indeed good-looking. This was the first time she had seen such a good-looking man. If they became companions, even Mo Zhu's ears turned red. Han Ju noticed her expression and felt that something was wrong. A sign of danger. He had yet to reach the Golden Core realm, so he couldn't have romantic feelings. Mo Zhu was beautiful, but she couldn't ruin his dedication to cultivation. Han Ju immediately took a step to the side and kept a 1-meter distance from her, walking side by side. The two of them walked to a deserted alley. "So what is it?" Han Ju asked. Mo Zhu looked around. After confirming that there was no one around, she asked in a low voice, "Brother Han, have you heard of Li Qianlong?" "Never heard of him." "What? You've never heard of Li Qianlong? Get to the point." Han Ju was a bit frustrated. Although he was almost 50 years old in this lifetime, he had never left the Jade Pure sect. He couldn't even recognize the famous people of the sect, let alone the entire cultivation world. Li Qianlong is the most talented individual Jade Pure sect has seen in 100 years. It's said that he's almost at the soul formation realm. His cave abode is located on a huge mountain outside the Jade Pure sect. He has cast many forbidding spells on his cave abode, which renders it concealed. Recently, I received news that his cave abode has appeared. However, he has a beast guarding it. The beast is afraid of lightning. We're all thunder cultivators. We will definitely be able to subdue it. The more Mo Zhu spoke, the more excited she became. Han Ju asked, "Where's your brother?" The inter-sect competition ended last year. He was chosen by the sect master to be especially groomed, so I couldn't find him. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. "It's over." Crap. He had cultivated for too long and forgot such a major event. He hoped that Fairy Caixuan would not blame him. If what you said is true, why aren't the sect leaders personally going to retrieve this cave abode? Han Ju asked. Mo Zhu shrugged and said, "His cave abode isn't that important to the sect. However, to us Foundation Establishment cultivators, it's a huge opportunity." Han Ju asked, "How did you know about this?" "A friend of mine told me. It isn't on the mission board. It must be a trap. Definitely not going." Han Ju immediately refused. "It's too dangerous. I'm not going. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't participate or you'll die very miserably." With that, he turned around and left. Mo Zhu stomped her feet in anger. However, it didn't negatively affect her impression of Han Ju. Instead, she was beginning to hesitate. Even a genius like Han Ju doesn't dare to go. Could there really be danger? After returning to the Jade Serene Peak, Han Ju went to the Jade Serene Hall and knelt at the gate. The inter-sect competition was an important event. If he was the only one who didn't go spectate from the Jade Serene Peak, he would be in huge trouble. "Come in, I have something to talk to you about." Fairy Caixuan's voice drifted over as the door opened. After entering the hall, Han Ju discovered that Fairy Caixuan wasn't alone. Chang Yu and an old man were also present. Wait. This old man, he's Elder Iron. Han Ju was stunned but continued to move forward. Upon seeing him, Elder Iron's face froze in confusion. This kid is a disciple of the Jade Serene Peak as well. How can this be possible? Elder Iron was in disbelief. This is a new disciple of the Jade Serene Peak. He will be your junior from now on. You can just call him Junior Iron, said Fairy Caixuan. Hanju nodded and looked at Elder Iron. Junior Iron, if you have any trouble in the future, feel free to look for me. Elder Iron gritted his teeth and said, Hanju, how did you become an inner sect disciple? He was shocked to find that he couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation. In just over 20 years, Hanju had surpassed him from a mere mortal. Fairy Caixuan wasn't surprised that they knew each other. Instead, she asked, why are you still at the third level of the Foundation Establishment Realm? Third level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Elder Iron was even more shocked. He had worked so hard to reach the Foundation Establishment Realm, but Hanju was already at the third level. Hanju was afraid that Elder Iron would sabotage him, so he had to demonstrate his value to Fairy Caixuan. Thus, he no longer hid his cultivation level. Master, I'm already at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. I just wanted to keep a low profile, so I hid my cultivation level. Elder Iron and Chang Yuer widened their eyes upon hearing that. Junior, how did you break through so quickly? Chang Yuer exclaimed. She literally watched Hanju leap from the 9th level of the Key Refinement Realm to the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. It was too ridiculous. Hanju explained. I've been cultivating in the Thunder Spiritual Pool and didn't dare to slack off. That's why I made such progress. Fairy Caixuan smiled in satisfaction and said, if everyone on the Jade Serene Peak was as hardworking as you, Jade Serene Peak would definitely become the strongest peak of the Jade Pure sect. You kept a low profile to cultivate. You have successfully obtained Fairy Caixuan's recognition. You're rewarded with a movement technique manual. Congratulations on attaining the 7 illusionary steps. Hanju concealed his excitement and quickly said, Master, you're flattering me. I just like to cultivate, that's all. Elder Iron tried his best to calm down. He knew that he couldn't suppress Hanju anymore. It was best to forget what happened in the past. If he told Fairy Caixuan about it, she might become unhappy with him. He suddenly felt nervous. With Hanju's cultivation, killing him was as easy as flipping his hand. No. He had to resolve this grudge. Since you like to cultivate so much, I will assign you a mission to guard the Jade Pure Sect's 10,000 Demon Realm. Fairy Caixuan's smile suddenly turned incomprehensible. 10,000 Demon Realm. It sounded so awesome and so dangerous. Hanju instinctively wanted to decline, but he still asked carefully, Master, what's the 10,000 Demon Realm? Cheng Yuer said excitedly, it's the place where the Jade Pure Sect raises its beasts. Master, I want to go too. Let me accompany Junior Han so that he won't be bullied. Fairy Caixuan glared at her, scaring her so much that she didn't dare to say anything else. Every peak will send a disciple to guard the 10,000 Demon Realm, because there are many kinds of beasts in the 10,000 Demon Realm. The spirit key there is concentrated. It's a very suitable place for you to cultivate, but dangers also exist. There are often cases where the beast scoper Cirque and disciples are brutally killed. Fairy Caixuan explained to him. She spoke with a tone that left no way for Hanju to decline it, but the silver lining was that it was a good place for him to cultivate. Fighting beasts was better than contesting with other people. Isn't it just being a zookeeper? Fine. I will follow Master's arrangements. Hanju cupped his hands. Fairy Caixuan nodded and said, pack up and head straight to the Pet Beast Pavilion. Someone will bring you to the 10,000 Demon Realm. The previous one stationed there is your first senior. Now that he's under the sect master, only you can go. If the mission is successful, I will reward you. In addition, you will receive 10 superior grade spirit stones for every year you guard the 10,000 Demon Realm. You can stay there as long as you want, as this is a continuous sect mission. Before you go, you can receive the mission first. Chapter 13, Mysterious Beast, the Sect Master's Missing. Before returning to his cave abode, Hanju first inherited the 7 illusionary steps. He had to strengthen himself first to prevent any mishaps. Unparalleled movement technique, top-notch movement technique aptitude. With this connate Providence, Hanju completely grasped the 7 illusionary steps in 2 hours. There were a total of 7 levels to this footwork technique. For every level 1 mastered, one could create a shadow clone of himself. With 7 shadow clones, it would be easy to make the enemy confused about which one would be the real person. Using this footwork technique, one could also greatly increase one's speed of escape. After mastering it, Hanju returned to his cave abode to pack his things before heading to the inner Sex City. He first went to the mission building to receive the mission before heading to the Pet Beast Pavilion. In the Jade Serene Hall, Fairy Kayak Swan stared emotionlessly at Elder Iron and slowly said, "I don't wish to delve into the stories between you and Hanju. From today onwards, your fellow disciples, you must respect him. With my understanding of him, he won't scheme against you. You can rest assured." Elder Iron knelt in the hall and sighed, nodding slowly. "In the future, Hanju will be my personal disciple. If you build a good relationship with him, it will only be beneficial to you. As long as it's not a grudge about life and death, you should reconcile." Fairy Swan's words shocked Elder Iron. Personal disciple. Fairy Swan thinks so highly of Hanju. When he thought of Hanju's insane speed at cultivating, he could only admit, that kid's indeed worthy. Walking out of the teleportation formation, Hanju arrived at the 10,000 Demon Realm. The sky of the 10,000 Demon Realm was covered in dark clouds, as if it were about to rain at any moment. Hanju took out his flying sword and shot up into the sky. According to the instructions of the disciples at the Pet Beast Pavilion, he had to find the pavilion of the Jade Serene Peak first. That would be his residence. There were forbidding spells cast on the pavilion, and ordinary beasts wouldn't dare to approach. Of course, he couldn't hide in the pavilion forever. If he encountered a rampage, he had to take action to reduce the losses for the Jade Pure Sect. The Jade Pure Sect had spent a lot of money to buy all the beasts in the 10,000 Demon Realm, and nurturing them also required a lot of resources. The pavilion wasn't far from the teleportation formation, and Hanju quickly found it. It was 2 stories high, and it wasn't very big. The house was deserted. After familiarizing himself with the mechanisms to trigger the forbidding spells, Hanju began to meditate and cultivate. The long and boring cultivation began again. A year and a half passed quickly. Hanju was already 50 years old. He cultivated his wind cultivation potential to the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Apart from the Thunder Spirit root, the other cultivation potentials were still at the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Since Hanju had nothing to do, he opened his interpersonal relationships to check. Sing Hongxuan had broken through to the 9th level of the Key Refinement realm. Interesting. Elder Iron was still in the 1st level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Hanju opened the email. Your good friend Mozu was attacked by a fiendish cultivator and was almost seriously injured. Your good friend Mozu was attacked by disciples of the Jade Pure Sect. She was in a perilous situation and fell down a cliff. Hanju was speechless. As expected, there was a trap in that cave abode. Fortunately, he did not go. It was very unfortunate for her. Hanju could only pray for her silently. Roar. Suddenly, a roar came from outside the pavilion. Hanju frowned and stood up immediately. As he walked out the door, he saw a white cat standing on a branch. This white cat had a slender figure, but there were white tiger patterns on it. Its purple eyes looked even more demonic. Hanju didn't sense any danger and ignored the little white cat. At this moment, the white cat suddenly pounced on Hanju. Hanju instinctively used the 7 illusionary steps to dodge. The white cat slammed into the wall of the pavilion, kicked off with its 4 legs, turned around, and continued to pounce on Hanju. Hanju frowned. The forbidding spells weren't triggered. He quickly jumped out into the clearing. The white cat pounced again, its speed several times faster than before. So fast. Hanju used the 7 illusionary steps and created 7 shadow clones to surround the white cat. The 7 Hanjus raised their hands at the same time to use the unparalleled finger divine sword. The white cat looked around, caught off guard, and was hit by the real sword energy. Blood splattered as it wailed. It quickly jumped away and disappeared into the woods. Hanju retracted his hand and returned to the pavilion. He let out a long breath and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Fortunately, he had learned the 7 illusionary steps beforehand. Otherwise, with the white cat's speed, he wouldn't have been its match. Where did that white cat come from? It's so fast, but luckily it doesn't have any other attack methods. Hanju thought silently. It seemed like he had to be more cautious in the future. After thinking about it, Hanju continued to cultivate. Inside a palace. The elders of the 18 peaks were gathered here. Sect Master is not here. We have to investigate the recent rampage in the 10,000 demon realm, an elder said. He was the teaching elder of the Heavenly Thunder Peak, Old Immortal de Waste Thunder. It's rather fishy. I keep having the feeling that it's related to the viridescent nether cult. That's right. The fiendish cultivators from the viridescent nether cult appeared in the nearby Lake Canlong's cave abode. I suspect there's a traitor in our higher-ups. Once the sect leader left, they started a series of actions. Could it be that the cult wants to make use of the beasts in the 10,000 demon realm? Very likely. After 200 years of training by the Pure sect, the 10,000 demon realm has become a force that cannot be underestimated. Let's send more disciples into the 10,000 demon realm. The elders were all talking at once. Fairy Kaixuan sat quietly without interrupting. After a long discussion, the peaks finally decided to send 2 more disciples into the 10,000 demon realm. The elders left. Just as Fairy Kaixuan was about to leave, Old Immortal de Waste Thunder suddenly called out to her. When only the 2 of them were left in the hall, Old Immortal de Waste Thunder asked, "Junior, why didn't you say anything just now?" Fairy Kaixuan said calmly, "You can decide on these matters." Old Immortal de Waste Thunder narrowed his eyes and asked, "Do you know where the sect leader brought those 18 core candidates to?" Fairy Kaixuan didn't reply. If there really is a traitor among the elders, then the only person I can trust is you, Junior. We have to work together, Old Immortal de Waste Thunder said seriously. Fairy Kaixuan replied, "Of course. After all, we were taught by the same master." Old Immortal de Waste Thunder smiled in satisfaction. 10,000 Demon Realm. It had been 2 years since the White Cat left. Hanju's 5 spiritual powers had all reached the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm, cultivating steadily. He was already halfway to the Golden Core Realm. "My young friend, are you using the 10,000 Demon Realm as your training ground?" A mocking voice sounded. Hanju opened his eyes and saw that an old man had appeared at the door. The old man was wearing a coarse cloth robe. He was shaking a wine gourd and his nose was red from overdrinking. Hanju frowned and asked, "Who are you?" He actually didn't sense the old man's approach. Dangerous. Chapter 14, The Demon King, obtained an unparalleled sword technique. Like you, I'm also a disciple of the Pure sect who's here to look after the 10,000 demon realm. The red-nosed old man chuckled. He sized up Hanju and clicked his tongue in wonder. The 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment realm, but looking at the rate of your expiration, I'd say you definitely ain't only at the 3rd level. You're probably at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Am I right? Hanju couldn't help but tense up. His true cultivation had been discovered. This was the first time he had met someone who could tell his cultivation. Could it be that this person's cultivation was the same as Fairy Kaixuan's? You don't have to be nervous. Did you volunteer to come here, or did your master send you here? Asked the red-nosed old man. Looking at how Hanju cultivated, he didn't seem to have volunteered to come. Hanju replied, "My master, Fairy Kaixuan, sent me here. I have a backing, don't try tricking me. Like Kingsley has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. He quickly checked the list of his attributes and checked his interpersonal relationships. Like Kingsley, 8th level of the Nascent Soul Realm. Sect Master of Pure sect, adores Fairy Kaixuan. Current favorability, 1 star. The Sect Master of the Pure sect. Isn't that the biggest boss? Hanju was shocked. This old dude actually has an affection towards my master. The thought of Li Qingzi and Fairy Caixuan together made him shudder. Li Qingzi is not worthy. Did your master give you a mission? Li Qingzi asked. Hanju replied, even if there is, how can I tell you? Li Qingzi smiled. Oh, you can't tell others about the mission. Hanju remained silent. Li Qingzi stretched lazily and smiled. Come with me then, you've gotten into trouble. Since you're Fairy Caixuan's disciple, I can help you settle it. Puzzled, Hanju got up and followed. As the sect master of the Jade Pure sect, Li Qingzi shouldn't be intending to harm him. The two of them walked into the forest. Do you know why I'm here? Li Qingzi placed his hands behind his back and asked with a smile. Hanju shook his head. Maybe because you're a simp. But of course, he wouldn't say that. He couldn't let his sect master lose face. The number of beasts around you is increasing. It looks like they are likely to go into a rampage. The key is that these beasts are very well behaved at the moment, as if they are waiting for the moment. To be able to command so many beasts, it must be the doing of a demon king. You have probably provoked the tiger heart white dragon. This little fellow's father is a famous demon king, and it inherited the demon king's bloodline. The reason it summoned so many beasts is probably to take revenge against you. After hearing Li Qingzi's words, Hanju recalled the white cat from 2 years ago. Could that be the white tiger heart? Hanju recounted his experience. You're faster than tiger heart white dragon. Li Qingzi asked in surprise. Can it be that this kid has already become Junior Caixuan's personal disciple? Thinking of what Fairy Caixuan had said, Li Qingzi couldn't help but nod. Li Qingzi's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 1.5 stars. Hanju raised his eyebrows and said, I learned a movement technique. It's normal for me to be faster. He immediately felt better. It seemed like it wasn't that he was weak, but that the tiger heart white dragon was truly fast. If it was any other disciple, they probably wouldn't have been able to keep up. Following Li Qingzi, Hanju arrived in front of a cliff. He looked down and saw the figures of beasts everywhere in the wilderness below. The beasts all had terrifying looks. The big ones were as big as hills, while the small ones were all kinds of insect-like beasts, the size of a pail. This was the first time Hanju saw a scene like this. He couldn't help but pale. He estimated that there were at least 1,000 beasts. If all of them were to charge at the pavilion he was in, there was no way for him to defend it. He would only be able to flee. His gaze landed on a large rock. The white cat from 2 years ago was sleeping soundly on it. Hanju was speechless. I'm too lucky, bumping into a little demon king straight away. Sir, you said you are going to help me deal with it. Are you going to kill it? Hanju asked. Li Qingzi glared at him and said, This tiger heart white dragon has great potential. Won't the sect find trouble with me if I kill it? Hanju said gloomily, Then how do we resolve the problem? You can go tame it. Li Qingzi pinched his beard and smiled. Hearing this, Hanju turned around and left immediately. With so many demonic beasts, how am I going to tame it? Little brat, why are you leaving? Li Qingzi quickly pressed on his shoulder and questioned. Why did Junior accept such a disciple? I'll set up a formation and trap them here. 5 years at most. If you can tame the tiger heart white dragon within 5 years, I'll reward you with the pure Jade sect's ultimate technique, Li Qingzi said seriously. The sect master of the Jade Pure sect has given you a mission. You have the following choices. A demon king's hatred. The attention of the viridescent nether cult. Hanju almost exploded. He immediately phrased his response. I think I won't do it, sir. You should find someone else. I'm really afraid. I just want to cultivate in peace. Li Qingzi was stunned. He frowned and said, I can teach you the pure Jade sect's supreme cultivation technique, the pure Jade technique. Comparable to my 6 paths of reincarnation technique. Hanju still shook his head. Li Qingzi's favorability towards you has decreased. Current favorability, 0.5 stars. Li Qingzi snorted, then get lost. Hanju bowed and fled quickly. Li Qingzi sighed. Is the person Junior arranged not him? Back in the pavilion, Hanju chose the second option. You rejected Lei Qingxi's mission and attained a sword technique manual. Congratulations on attaining the unparalleled sword technique, 3 Pure Shadow Sword. An unparalleled sword technique. Hanju rejoiced, finally. Although the unparalleled finger divine sword was not bad, its range was limited. The sword's thigh it shot out was more like bullets. If he was faced with the large-scale invasion of beasts, it would be very difficult to do anything. He didn't inherit it immediately but waited. An hour later, he began to inherit this sword technique. As he inherited the 3 Pure Shadow Sword technique, Hanju's body began to absorb the spiritual ki of heaven and earth. Not long after, a strong eddy encircled the pavilion. The surrounding trees swayed as if a storm was about to arrive. This strange phenomenon lasted for an hour. The inheritance was completed. Hanju's top-notch aptitude in the sword deo allowed him to inherit the technique without any difficulties. Inside the room, Hanju suddenly opened his eyes and a cold light flashed in them. He raised his hand and made a hand seal, mobilizing the spiritual force in his body to execute the 3 Pure Shadow Sword. 3 sword shadows with different colors appeared behind him. The Thunder Spiritual Force Sword Shadow zapped with flashes. The Fire Spiritual Force Sword Shadow was like raging flames, burning fiercely. The Wind Spiritual Force Sword Shadow was blue-green, and the blade was surrounded by strong winds. What a powerful sword technique! Unparalleled, indeed. Hanju immediately stood up and walked out of the pavilion. The 3 sword shadows floated behind him like his shadow. Using his finger as a sword, he pointed forward. The 3 sword shadows behind him zoomed forward at an extremely fast speed. They were even faster than the Tiger Heart White Dragon. They were like 3 different colored lightning bolts. Boom! Blinding sword flashes bloomed. Dozens of trees within 100 meters radius were chopped into 3 parts by the sword shadows. The chopped tree trunks soared into the sky and its leaves withered. It was a spectacular scene. As the trees fell back to the ground, dust was flung into the air. So powerful! Hanju was pleasantly surprised. This is what I call unparalleled technique. So strong. He hadn't even used his full strength. If he were to face the army of beasts, he would turn the battlefield into a meat grinder in minutes. Accept the mission and try your best to tame the Tiger Heart White Dragon. You will be rewarded with Lei Qingxi's ultimate technique, the Demon King's hatred, and the viridescent Nether cult's attention. Reject the mission and continue cultivating. You will be able to obtain a sword technique manual, and Lei Qingxi's favorability will decrease. Chapter 15. Defeat the Beasts with the Sword Shadows. After learning the 3 Pure Shadow Sword technique, Hanju became much more confident. He could now produce 3 sword shadows, each of a different attribute, and he could manipulate all of them with ease. The technique could also be activated continuously. When the sword shadows of the first activation disappeared, he could summon another 3, until he ran out of spirit energy. Hanju's spirit energy far surpassed cultivators of the same realm. After all, he cultivated the technique inherited from the Immortal Emperor, the 6 Paths of Reincarnation technique. Apart from cultivating 6 types of spirit energy, each type of spirit energy in the 6 Paths of Reincarnation technique could be cultivated to a robust state. From today on, I'm no longer a weakling, Hanju thought proudly. He returned to the pavilion in high spirits and prepared to continue cultivating. Cultivation was the key. The higher one's cultivation level was, the stronger the effects of his techniques. When he reached the nascent soul realm, his 3 Pure Shadow Sword technique would have an apocalyptic effect. Hanju was looking forward to it. Several days later, Jade Serene Peak sent over 2 more disciples. One was Chang Yuer, and the other was also his senior, Menghe. Menghe was the Jade Serene Peak's 7th disciple. His cultivation level had reached the 9th stage foundation establishment realm. He was pretty strong. Why is the forest outside cut off? What happened? Menghe asked in confusion. Hanju replied, previously beasts tried to besiege me. Fortunately, an elder helped. Chen Yuer sized him up and asked, Junior, are you all right? As she spoke, she reached out to touch him. Hanju hurriedly took a step back. Furious, Chang Yuer scolded him. Are you serious? Hanju cleared his throat and said, Master has warned that disciples of Jade Serene Peak are not allowed. Hemph, you wish. I'm just concerned about you. Menki shook his head and laughed. He didn't find it strange. Although Hanju kept a low profile, rumors about his good looks had already spread far and wide. Many female cultivators in the inner sect were talking about a breathtakingly handsome disciple from the Jade Serene Peak, but they didn't know his name. After hearing the rumors, Menki immediately reckoned that they were referring to Hanju. Not to mention Jade Serene Peak, even in the entire inner sect, no male disciple was more handsome than Hanju. Chang Yuer was quite pretty, but she was still far from the most beautiful female cultivator. Junior Hanju doesn't need to worry about finding a companion. Master was afraid that you would be in danger, so she sent us to help you. It's said that the viridescent nether cult might have already infiltrated the 10,000 demon realm. We have to be careful, Menki reminded. Viridescent nether cult. Hanju frowned. No wonder that if he had subdued the tiger heart white dragon, he would attract the attention of the cult. So they have already infiltrated the 10,000 demon realm? Perhaps that's why Lai Kingzi came here. How dangerous. Hanju suddenly wanted to leave the 10,000 demon realm. Junior Chang, rest first. I'll go out and take a look. After saying this, Menki walked out of the pavilion. Hanju walked to the side and continued to meditate, not giving Chang Yuer a chance to strike up a conversation. Chang Yuer curled her lips and also began to cultivate. Ever since she found out that Hanju was already at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, she had spent most of her time cultivating in seclusion. She was fired up. But regarding Hanju's cultivation, Fairy Taixuan had told her not to spread it out, so the other disciples of the Jade Serene Peak didn't know of his cultivation level. 2 days later, Menki finally returned. He looked like he had run into trouble. Hanju and Chang Yuer hurriedly stood up to attend to him. Menki wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with lingering fear, I encountered a very strong beast equivalent to a golden core cultivator. I nearly died. Hanju asked, Are there many beasts nearby? There's a group of beasts several kilometers away, but I don't know who trapped them with an array formation. They aren't a threat. The powerful beast I encountered was quite far away, so it won't pose a threat to us, replied Menki. Then hurry up and recuperate. Yes. Menki meditated and circulated his spiritual energy to heal his injuries. Not long after, he spat out another mouthful of blood. The blood was black, extremely terrifying. Was he poisoned? Lucky I don't wander around. Indeed, one shouldn't be reckless. Hanju pondered as he cultivated. Chang Yuer was also very uneasy. It had only been 2 days, but 7th Senior was already injured. The 10,000 demon realm was a truly savage place. Why did Junior Han remain unscathed for so many years? Chang Yuer looked at Hanju suspiciously. Could he be more powerful than 7th Senior? After Menki was injured, he didn't dare to wander around anymore. Hanju was busy cultivating and didn't go out. Chang Yuer naturally didn't dare to go out either. A year quickly passed. That day, Hanju was cultivating. Menki suddenly opened his mouth and said, The presence of beasts is getting stronger in the vicinity, and they're moving rapidly. Their target should be us. Hanju and Chang Yuer opened their eyes upon hearing that. Hanju said, Then why aren't we running? Chang Yuer frowned. But this place is under the jurisdiction of the Jade Serene Peak. If we leave, aren't we leaving our post without approval? Then stay and wait for your death. I'll tell Master about your heroic deeds. Hanju stood up. Chang Yuer got anxious and stood up as well. Junior Han is right. The 18 peaks each have an area to manage. We definitely won't be the only ones being attacked by the wave of beasts. Other people will definitely run as well, said Menki. Ever since his defeat by the powerful Best, he had lost his previous confidence. As long as we survive, there's hope. Let's go. After Hanju said that, he rushed out of the pavilion. Cheng Yuer and Meng He followed closely behind. The three of them flew on their swords. Once they were high in the air, they lowered their heads to take a look. Indeed, with the pavilion as the center, countless beasts were running towards them from all directions. Cold sweat broke out on Han Ju's forehead. So many. It seemed like he was still not vigilant enough. He still needed to train his divine sense. If not for Meng He's reminder, they would definitely be in huge trouble now. Swish! An ear-piercing sound came from ahead. The three of them turned their heads and saw a black eagle with a wingspan of 30 feet speeding over. Its feathers were like metal arrows. Be careful. Meng He immediately took out a talisman and quickly chanted a spell. 3 balls of flames shot out from the talisman at the black eagle. The black eagle dodged rapidly and circled in the air before continuing to pounce on the three of them. At the same time, other flying beasts also attacked. Han Ju took a glance. There was a total of 7 of them, all zooming at a breakneck speed. Cheng Yuer was so frightened that her face turned pale, and her hand holding her equipment trembled. Also frightened, Meng He shouted, "Let's split up and escape." Han Ju cursed silently. So you want to escape alone? On the surface, Han Ju and Cheng Yuer's cultivation levels were inferior to Meng He's. They were, in fact, his burden. Meng He turned around and escaped. He cast a spell and transformed into a gust of wind, escaping extremely quickly. Cheng Yuer didn't know what to do. This was the first time she had encountered such a dangerous situation. Seeing the 7 demon beasts approaching like rockets, Han Ju immediately used the 3 pure shadow sword technique. The sword shadows immediately materialized and zapped out. Cheng Yuer only saw a flash of light in front of her, and the 7 flying beasts were cut into several pieces, dying on the spot. She widened her eyes and looked at Han Ju in disbelief. Han Ju's long hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were cold and sharp, emitting an awe-inspiring aura. Cheng Yuer's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 4 stars. Han Ju's expression changed. Crap. He turned around and saw that Cheng Yuer was looking at him with glowing eyes. Meng He had already fled without a trace. That brat's really quick. Cheng Yuer excitedly said, "Junior Han, so you're actually this powerful." Han Ju said seriously, "Senior Cheng, don't tell anyone what you saw. I still want to keep a low profile and cultivate quietly. If I'm exposed, I might become a core candidate. If that happens, you won't be seeing me anymore." Cheng Yuer immediately nodded.